more second.
Practicing. Oh, he's ready.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
Sure he does.
Good evening. We'll call the City Council regular meeting to order for February 25th at 6 p.m. Please rise for the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance.
Bow with me, please. Heavenly Father, we invoke your Spirit, your precious Holy Spirit, guiding these people tonight in the matters that pertain to all the citizens of this community. And we thank you, Lord Heavenly Father, for their willingness to participate for the good of this community. We ask you, Lord Heavenly Father, that you just rest your Spirit upon them, guide them and direct them, wisdom, discernment, spirit of meekness and humility, and the spirit of unity control this place tonight. In Christ Jesus' name, we give you praise evermore. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. I believe the city manager has a couple of announcements for us.
Council members, before I have you do the roll call, I would like to introduce to you Manuel Cortisol. Manuel is our new city clerk. He has been with the city for a couple of years, and he has agreed to step up into those duties. And we're looking forward to good things from him. So he'll do the roll call right now.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay.
Councilmember Gray,
Here.
Councilmember Spurlock,
Here.
Councilmember Sutherland is absent today. Deputy Mayor Bernard,
Here.
Mayor Anderson.
Here.
There's a quorum present.
Thank you. All right, first up we have the consent agenda. This will include the minutes from February 4th, February 11th, and the Heartland Coalition for the Homeless request to vacate the airport lease. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of February 4th, 2018 under consent agenda B4.
This will be for all three items.
Oh, if we're going to do all three?
Well,
All right.
let me just simply say that consent agendas are really to be passed all at one time, if possible. But if there's an item in there that somebody wants to remove from the agenda, what they just simply say is, can we remove, item 6, let's say, from the agenda so we can discuss it? And then you make a motion to pass the consent agenda with all items except for 6 or whatever it is.
So you want me to revise what I said?
Please.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question. I have a question.
What's that?
At what point do I abstain from this item? Because Heartland Coalition for the Homeless is my employer. That's in the consent agenda.
During the vote.
That I would be abstaining from the entire vote, the minutes
Yeah.
and everything.
All right, then why don't you ask to remove that?
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and remove that. We'll just interpret that, and just consent agenda would just be 4 and 5.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do we have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion we approve consent agenda number 4 and 5 for the meetings of February 4th and February 11th.
Do I hear a second? Second?
I second.
Okay. We have a second from Councilmember Spurlock. Is there any questions?
That's on 4 and 5, correct?
4 and 5, yes.
Okay.
Any questions? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Gray,
Yes.
Councilmember Spurlock,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yeas, no nays.
Now, if somebody could make a motion to approve number 6, then she can, Councilmember Gray can abstain.
All right. I'll make the motion we approve consent agenda number B6, Heartland Coalition of the Homeless request to vacate airport lease.
Do we have a second? Second? We have a motion and a second. Is there any questions?
What you need to do is basically state your
I will do that.
conflict.
But now?
Yes.
Did I hear that, the second? I didn't hear the
Yes,
second.
he seconded it.
Oh, okay. Well, I abstain. Did you call for the vote?
We haven't
Not
called
yet.
for the vote yet. You can go
Okay.
ahead and do your abstention now, is what he's saying.
Okay, I will be abstaining from voting on this particular item for the reason being is that I am employed by Heartland Coalition for the Homeless as a W-2 employee.
Got it.
And I will
Oh.
fill out the proper documents.
Yes, please make sure the clerk that gets the document to her.
I have them.
Okay, thank you.
She's been down this road before.
Exactly.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We have one abstaining. Is there any questions? Well, now, go ahead.
There's nobody here wants him, that out any worse than I do, so I don't want to change that thought. But I'm upset at the fact that we have I don't know that it's a policy, but I think it is a policy on our agenda, and we need to have the agenda set. I was always told no later than Wednesday. In fact, there was 2 things I tried to bring up, and I could not get them on the agenda because it was after Wednesday. And yet I look at this letter that's dated for a Thursday, and yet it makes the agenda, and it's calling for council disposition of it, either one way or the other, on the 25th of February. And I just don't think that's right. I just think that's preferential treatment for this situation. And I think it needs to go back on at the proper time and come through the proper channels.
I think that your rules of commission probably need to be firmed up with regard to that issue. When we're at what point are we gonna make the agenda firm, and what types of things can go on the agenda afterwards, and there might be something you want to have discussion at, some meeting about, concerning that particular issue.
I mean, that's my only concern, is that I've gone back and everybody said it has been Tuesday and then it has been Wednesday, but yet this has come in at Thursday.
What I have found
I'll
out.
support the motion to have, to do that at the proper time, but I just don't think I don't think it should be called for a vote tonight. I think it should be put off till our next meeting.
Okay.
And set on the agenda in the right way.
Did you have something you wanted to add?
We don't actually have a policy that I could find on the agenda placement. We've had a practice of having it done
Yeah.
by certain days. I actually allowed this item to be on the agenda because when Ms. Braylinger brought it to me Thursday morning, I was on my way out the door. I handed it to Manuel and I said, go ahead and put this on the agenda, because it didn't look like anything that was going to require a whole lot of discussion or research or anything else. It was pretty cut and dried to me. So I made that decision to put it on there because at that point we had not finalized the agenda and printed it. I think the items that Mr. Spurlock might be referring to in the past was after we had already set the agenda by closing it out and printing it. I think. I don't know the exact specifications that you're talking about, but I believe that may have been what has happened in the past.
Yeah, I mean, we can certainly have a firm rule if we so choose. But yeah, I mean, we can take that up at the end of the meeting and have a vote on it if you'd like.
Yeah. I think my only issue with that would be at this time that we're sort of like in new territory with new city manager, new city employees, and new members of this council, and so I don't know whether we can expect them to get everything done in the same timely manner just after a couple of months. But I do see your point, Stanley, and I think it would be good for us to discuss it sometime in the future so that we could firm it up, because I know the last few weeks we haven't gotten our books until like Friday, where we used to get them like on Thursday. And like I said, we also had about 3 or 4 meetings in a row too. So it's pretty understandable, what had happened. But I think it's in the future we do need to have a set firm schedule on this if we could. And there's always going to be an exception at the same time.
Okay, is there any other questions relating to item number 6? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Spurlock,
No.
Deputy Mayor Bernard,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
There's one abstention, 1 nay, and 2 yeas.
Motion carries.
By the way, in the future, that she should go ahead and vote her abstention, place her abstention.
I
That's all.
abstain
For the
from that
record,
vote. That's the way we've done it in the past, so, but I
Well,
abstain.
See, the technicality is we can't do it during the vote because the vote's supposed to be either, yay, nay, or abstain.
Okay,
But you need to state, because of the ethics rule, you need to state that why you're abstaining, not just the fact that you are. And it can't be just on the thing. It's supposed to be stated on the record at the meeting. So I know you've done that already.
I'll do it again, because I want to be in order. I don't want to be,
Yeah, you did that, and that's why I
Okay.
stopped before the vote, and I had you do that. But then after, at the vote, we should go ahead and have the regular vote, okay? Just want to make sure we do that in the proper manner.
All right.
I have a question on that also. I don't know whether 2 votes considers a passing out of 5 members with 1 missing and 1 abstention.
Majority
Does
of
that
the-
qualify? Majority qualifies?
Majority of the members
Okay.
present, yeah. It does,
All right.
2 to 1.
All right, just wanted to make sure. Thanks.
All right, under citizens and
that-
outside agencies, we have Anna Marie Feeney, event fee waiver.
Anna Marie Feeney, 234 East Camphor Street, Avon Park, Florida. Good evening, everyone.
good evening, ma'am.
Good
Yeah.
evening.
The city has very graciously already waived all the cones and cans and everything else. But when we did that, I kind of was under the impression that the inspections were also part of it, and now it's not. And I was just wondering if we can just include it all. The event is Friday and Saturday. So
I believe you're talking about the fire
Fire.
department? Yeah.
yeah, the fire permits. I've already started contacting the food trucks. I know that the fire inspector is here on Wednesdays. I'm doing my level best to get them in on Wednesday so we can try to get as many of them as possible. But, it's so close to the date, and already one of the food trucks says he's not even going to be in county on Wednesday. So I'm going to get as many as I can in on Wednesday.
If
But we still may need him on the weekend for an hour.
Was he available on the weekend? Okay. He has arranged it on a Wednesday, because he's normally here that day.
Mhm.
And we're going to try to get him as many as we can done
Yeah.
on that day. That
I've
would
already
certainly
started.
help.
Yes, I spoke with Chief Marcy,
Yeah, there
and,
wouldn't be an additional charge that way.
yeah. No, well, that's why I want to turn around and get as many as I can in on Wednesday, because I know it's an expense. We can't afford it as it stands now. So the fact of the matter is that we want them in, plus it makes more sense. If there is an issue that the fire inspector sees on Wednesday, they can correct it by Friday and still be a part of it. So that's what I'm stressing to the drivers, to get them in as quickly as possible. And I've told them, Wednesday, just show up, get it done.
How many trucks are you, I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
how many trucks are you looking?
Oh, we're looking at 10. We're looking at 10, and all different types. We even have a seafood one. We even have one that does pot roast on the fly. I mean, we've got some great trucks coming in, and I want to make sure they're all able to participate, and they want to be here.
Mhm.
So,
So the fee is $30 per truck?
Yes.
Yes, but
And
if
who's
he
it?
does that while he's here Wednesday, it's just his normal hourly rate.
Oh,
Okay, I see.
If he has to come in on the weekend, what would the charge be for that?
$30 a truck.
$30.
That's what he charges?
Isn't that correct, Andy?
What is our cost?
That's what we would charge.
Right, but what is the cost to the city if he has to come in?
$85 an hour.
And that's travel time and everything? That would be the only reason he would be coming here? And his time here would probably be what, an hour, 2 hours?
He said he can do 10 in about 2 hours. So if he has to come for 1, he's going to drive here for 20 minutes.
Got it. Okay,
Oh, let me ask you a question.
Go
So
ahead.
the $30 that you're asking to be waived, if it's done on Wednesday, it's not gonna cost us anything.
Right,
Is that
right,
correct? Am I understanding
right.
that correctly?
right, and that's why I turned around and spoke with Chief Marcy today, and as soon as I got out of there, I started making phone calls.
Is that correct?
You got to clarify a little bit. So
Yeah.
Okay, so the difference is.
This is
if he
Andy
come-
Marcy from the APFD.
Yes. If he comes on Wednesday, we already pay him to be here Wednesday.
Okay.
He would just not be doing like one fire inspection that he could do the following week. He would just
Okay.
then, instead of doing a fire inspection, he would inspect their food trucks.
Gotcha.
So we're paying him to be here on Wednesday anyway.
And that, is that what you're asking to be waived?
Yeah,
Well-
just in the event that they can't make it on Wednesday,
Oh,
you know, because I've already got one that
I
said
gotcha.
he's gonna be out of county,
I got you.
but he's gonna be here Friday and Saturday.
So that you're talking about if, for at least that $85, if he comes
he's-
on Saturday.
Right, it's gonna be a totally separate expense if he comes on Saturday or Friday. But if he's already here on Wednesday and we can get all them to show up on Wednesday, we're paying him to be here anyway. They can just pull their trucks in and he can inspect them one after the other and be done.
Okay,
Does that make
And
sense?
that makes sense.
There's no charge per truck then, they come on Wednesday.
Correct. We're already paying him to be here.
Okay.
But if one say they can't come until Saturday, then we're gonna bring him back on Saturday. And Miss Anna Marie, is that what you're asking to be waived,
Right.
that Saturday's fee?
Right, if it happens,
If it happens.
if it happens.
He gets paid for travel time, right?
Correct.
Yeah, he's approximately an hour away.
Yeah.
So $85 plus the travel
To-
time?
Yeah,
Drive here
you're
and
looking
then
about
work
3
for an hour
hours.
and then drive back.
Saying,
Yeah.
something?
I would simply advise that if we are willing to waive the fee for anyone on Wednesday, that you have to charge the fee if you have to come back on Saturday.
Exactly.
I mean, it's
agree.
just, because if it's one truck, I mean, you could get hit for 3 hours for one truck, in theory.
Yeah.
At least 2 hours minimum. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I would be perfectly fine with waiving the fee I personally, just for future reference here, I think that we need to move towards having a permanent fire inspector that is here working for the department all the time, so that things like this are not such a hassle for us. And we can
I
have
agree.
someone come out during any
I
day during
agree.
the week. And then we don't have all these, fees to contend with. It's just a much simpler, basically a no cost
Yeah.
to have the events,
Community event.
Exactly. But in this particular case, since we don't have that, I would definitely be in favor of waiving the fees for anything done on Wednesday. However, if they have to come back on Saturday for 1 or 2 trucks, I couldn't see throwing that in. That's just my opinion.
And I have to agree with that too. I mean,
And she's
maybe
not
unfortunate, but I think it's, if we got double or triple our cost from Wednesday for 1 or 2 trucks, then I think they ought to pay something.
Could you
she's
clarify,
not-
what are you saying there exactly?
What am I saying?
Yeah.
I say, I agree with you. If he has to come back on Saturday, whatever trucks need to be inspected, I believe they should pay a fee to cover his cost for bringing them
Well,
back.
I see.
The Battle of the Bands will pick up the cost then, because in reality, they waited till the very last minute to even say they'd come after what was going on with past incidents with the fire inspector and food trucks. They weren't going to come at all.
Oh. Well,
And I managed to convince them that, it would be in the city's and their best interest to start this thing back up and get it done right. It's a little tight right now, but
Right.
it's, we want the events to come back. The food trucks really, they're an integral part of any major event, anywhere. So if the council so deems it that they'll take care of Wednesday but not Saturday, the Battle of the Bands will be picking up the tab for it.
Yeah, I mean, if you have to, pay for 1 or 2 trucks, I mean, the city is still incurring quite a bit
I know.
more of a cost
I
there.
understand that. That's why I'm not saying anything.
Do you have something else you want to add?
No,
Brenda?
I got it, no problem.
Okay. So we'll be looking for a motion. What it sounds like to me is that the motion would be something along the lines of removing the fee, the $30 fee per truck on anything that is inspected on Wednesday, and not waiving any fees for Saturday,
Friday or Saturday.
Friday or Saturday, yeah. Any day after Wednesday.
Yeah, because I may have one truck coming in on Friday and then another one coming in on Saturday.
Right.
So,
And even that, I mean, I know what the city policy says, but I would just encourage you to try to get them on the same day.
Oh, I'm trying to get them all in on Wednesday. I'm not, that's where I already know just that one in particular will not be here, so.
Yeah, because minimum, the city's gonna get hit with, what's that, $170?
Yep.
Yeah, minimum.
Per day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just for, that's just for one truck. That's
Mhm.
what it's gonna cost the city, so. Is anyone willing to make that motion?
Okay, I'll make the motion that we waiver any fee for truck inspection on Wednesday before, but not to waiver the inspection fee on Friday or Saturday up for a food truck.
Is there a second?
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any questions? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Gray,
Yes.
Councilmember Spurlock,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard,
Yes,
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
The motion carries 4 yeas, no nays.
Okay.
Thank
And
you.
now that that's all said and done, I just want to confirm at 5 o'clock on Friday, the Cypress Gardens water ski team is going to be in Lake Verona.
Awesome.
So,
amen. I like it. I'll be
Awesome.
there.
Thank you. Next up, under staff updates, we have the Brickell Building update.
I just wanted to give you a quick update that so far, we have removed a little over 120 yards of drywall waste, moldy drywall out of that building. The inmates have been working 4 days a week for the past 2 weeks, Tuesday through Friday. They will be back in there tomorrow. We think at this point we've got less than 2 weeks worth of work to do left in there. They are working on the ceiling part of the ground floor right now, taking that off, and that takes a little bit longer than the walls did. And they've discovered some of the old tin ceiling in there that has not appeared to be damaged. It was just kind of covered up. So that was interesting. But that's all that I had on that particular item. Just want to kind of give you a quick update. The things are going well there right now.
Good.
Are we gonna look forward to, after that cleanup, and maybe to enter into possibly putting the building up for sale as is?
That would be up to the council to
That'll be up to
decide.
the council, whatever y'all want to do. We'll do it.
I think we should look into that.
That would be something that would need to be placed on the agenda.
Okay, well. Yeah, get the CRA off the account, that's for sure.
Who owns the building, CRA or the,
CRA is making payments to the city for the building.
okay, it has to be a CRA issue.
Well, it'll be put on a CRA agenda then.
I have one other question for you, David, concerning buildings. Do you have any updates on the church service center? Are we moving forward with cleaning that building up also, or?
I don't know at this point. I still haven't been able to get into it. I spoke to to Robert, our city street superintendent. He was kind of looking over some of that stuff earlier. The reports that I'm hearing about it right now are not well, or they're not good. But I do want to go in there myself with a respirator and just kind of see how bad it actually is in there. And then I'll be able to report to you probably at the next meeting on that.
Okay, great, thanks.
Thank you. Anything else on item number 8? Seeing none, staff updates, item number 9, we have the budget amendment.
Let me hand these to you real quick. We have some changes in the numbers today.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Rick Helms, you're up.
Good evening, council members. Hopefully this is on and hopefully you can hear me okay.
Yep.
As you mentioned, my name is Rick Helms. I'm the finance director part-time for the city. And it's my understanding that city manager wanted to address you initially on this, and then I'll provide some follow-up information.
Basically, what we're doing is we're kind of in reorganization mode. We've eliminated some positions, we've combined some positions, and we're adding some new positions. And I apologize for handing this form to you late, but we had forgotten one position that dealt with a resignment of a person, so we had to factor those numbers in there today. So the bottom line is we're not looking at a fiscal impact of about $51,000. We're looking at a fiscal impact of just over $28,000. So that's even better for you right now. But I wanted to let you know that and why we're doing what we're doing. There are 7 or 8 positions we're actually eliminating out of this. Some were combined as well, plus we're trying to create some new positions. This is going to enable us also to get the fire department close to where we need to be to meet the OSHA standards. We're still going to need to address probably 2 more firefighters in the upcoming budget year, but for right now, this will be a big step toward getting us in there. And with this will also be the official promotion of Captain Marcy to the chief's position. I believe that he is the best man for the job, and as soon as we can get all these ducks in a row, I'll be happy to begin introducing him to you as Chief Andy Marcy. So with that, I want to turn this over to Rick and let him kind of give you an overview, and of course you feel free to interrupt with any questions or comments that you might have as we go through this.
Okay.
Rick?
Okay, the spreadsheet itself, I also want to apologize for the last minute update on this. There was a position there that I did not understand needed to be as part of the analysis, but it is now a part of that in the information you have in front of you. Looking at the information that's there, you need to understand that the column that is headed up as budget impact is based on the impact from this point forward to the budget for this fiscal year. So even though you may see a larger number in the salary column, the items, or whenever you factor in the balance of the fiscal year, those numbers need to be adjusted based on how much is left in the fiscal year.
Okay.
So that's why you see the difference that is there. The first one that we have listed there is the Administrative Services Clerk, and that is going from a full-time position to a part-time position, and the budget impact on that is a reduction of $9,254, and that impacts specifically your general fund. I needed to include that information there as well, because when you factor everything in, you got to understand how it impacts each one of your individual funds. There's a second position, Administrative Services Clerk, that is being closed out. That position was being funded in the general fund as well as in your water and sewer fund. And that's why you see it listed as 2 separate lines there. So the impact on that is a reduction of $5,758 to each one of those funds. The executive assistant position that is there is a new position that is actually replacing that administrative services clerk, and the city manager will be able to provide additional information to you regarding the duties and responsibilities of that executive assistant. That executive assistant would be funded in the general fund in the cost center for the city manager. And the impact on that for the balance of the fiscal year would be $17,680. The item that you see listed as GIS analyst, that is Manny's position. That position is taking on additional responsibilities of city clerk, CDBG, and CRA. So those are added responsibilities, and what you see there is the budget impact for the general fund in the city manager's cost center for the balance of this fiscal year. I'll pause at this moment to see if you have any questions. If not, we'll move forward on with some of the other positions that are here.
Do we have an executive assistant yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
The next position that is there is the Human Resources Manager, City Clerk position that is being closed out. That was due to, I believe it was a resignation that took place, and that is the impact broken down between the general fund, the water and sewer fund, and your solid waste department. That salary was allocated across those three separate funds. So that's why you see that listed on three separate lines there. The impact on that to your general fund is, for the balance of the fiscal year, is $15,912. For the water and sewer fund and the solid waste fund, it is $15,444 for each of those for the balance of the fiscal year. The addition to the spreadsheet was the purchasing specialist. That position was allocated across three different cost centers as well. That was a position that was not a termination. It was a voluntary vacation of that position by the employee. That position is not going to be filled and is going to be closed out. And you see the corresponding impacts there for your general fund, water and sewer fund, and the solid waste fund on that position. The next position there is a human resource director position. That is a new hire, and what you see there is the fiscal impact for the balance of this fiscal year. And that impact will be totally to the general fund.
Council members, I would like to introduce to you right now Brenda Dane. Brenda Dane is our new Human Resources Director. She comes to us with a world of experience and professionalism, and I think we're going to be seeing really, really good things from her.
Glad to have you.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome.
The next position that you see there is the position that I am currently occupying. That position is split between two different cost centers there, funds and cost centers, the general fund and the water and sewer fund. And that is reflective of the budget impact for the balance of this fiscal year. The next item that you see there, the three different lines, was due to the resignation of the city manager, and that impact for the balance of the fiscal year on those three different cost centers there. The position has been filled, and what you see there is the net differential between the salary that was paid to the prior city manager compared to that of the current city manager. So it is a reduction in the impact to your general fund, your water and sewer fund, and solid waste fund. The next line that you see there is the fire chief position, and that, as was mentioned previously, is going to be filled by a transfer. And what you see there is the impact for the balance of the fiscal year for filling that position with a transfer. The next position there is a fire lieutenant that is going to also be a transfer within the department. And what you see there, the $312, is the fiscal impact for the balance of the fiscal year that we're currently in. The next firefighter position that's listed there is one that will be filled. It's already an existing position, and there should be no impact to your budget for the balance of the fiscal year due to that position being filled. The fire captain position is also being filled internally, or if it's not filled internally, would be an external interview process that would have to take place. And that would be the fiscal impact for the balance of this year that is reflected there in the budget impact column. The next firefighter position is a creation of a new firefighter position, and what's reflected there is the fiscal impact of $17,731 for the balance of the fiscal year. The next position is one that is just the renaming of the position due to the title that it is currently listed there of operator/street worker. We did not feel that that was something that properly identified the duties and responsibilities of that position, and I think they're currently working on a title for that position. But that should, I have to refocus here, I went away from my screen. That should not have any fiscal impact for the balance of this fiscal year. The payroll records clerk is a position that is being closed out. What you see there is a reduction for the balance of this fiscal year in the budget impact column. The public safety director position is one that there was a recent retirement. I believe it was retirement, or was it resignation? Retirement of the individual occupying that position. What you see there is the reduction in the fiscal impact for the balance of the fiscal year. The position vehicle maintenance tech is a renaming of a position that was just titled mechanic. We felt that vehicle maintenance tech better described the duties and responsibilities for that position, and it should not impact the current fiscal year budget.
You mind if I interrupt you for 1 second? On
Yes.
the public safety director, you're showing the budget just being cut in half. I thought he was only here for 2 months or 3 months at the most,
No, he just retired 3 weeks ago.
which is February, right?
February 1st was
So,
his
Budget
last.
year starts in October.
October.
My apologies. Thank you.
It's okay.
It's a good question, though. Absolutely good question.
One good one.
Utility Service Worker 2 is a new position that would be created. The fiscal impact for the balance of this year would be $12,813. The Code Enforcement Supervisor is a position that has been created, but it will be filled by transfer, an internal transfer. So that will be something that the city manager can provide additional information on as well.
That was the one I was telling you that Marnita English will be assuming those duties.
Oh, okay.
The Code Enforcement Supervisor is a position that has been created. I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself. The Code Enforcement Coordinator is a new position that was created. That position will be working 3 days a week, and the impact for the balance of this fiscal year would be $17,947.
You missed a line there. It's not actually the one under it.
Yeah, 9,000.
9,464.
Yeah.
Time to put the glasses on.
And that code
That's-
enforcement coordinator is Bubba,
That's what I thought, yeah.
Bubba Warner. I've coaxed him out of retirement, and he's coming back working for us 3 days a week as the coordinator, and he has hit the ground running.
Has he started already?
He started last week.
Great.
Good.
Thank you.
Doing-
Good news.
doing good.
Good news.
Good.
Okay, now I can actually see which numbers apply to which position there. The handyman position is a current existing position. The groundskeeper position also is an existing position, and the custodian is also an existing position. Those three individuals will be grouped together in a new department. The city manager can better describe
That
the
will be
functions and
that will
duties.
be our Parks and Facilities Department.
Okay.
Now separating that from Public Works.
Got it.
The next position is Utilities Service Worker 3. That will be a new position that is created. The fiscal impact of that would be $17,410 for the balance of the fiscal year, and that will impact your water and sewer fund. The plant operator Class C will be a new position that would be created. That would be a fiscal impact of $23,930, and again, that would be for your water and sewer fund, where that impact would be. And totaling that up, the net impact overall, not differentiating between funds, would be $15,579. The benefits portion, and again, please understand that the benefits are estimated there based on an approximate value of 35% for the benefit package that is offered by the city. It varies based on the employee and the types of benefits that they are selected. Specifically, it depends on the type of retirement that is involved, as well as the workers' comp codes that are involved, those types of things. So all of that is factored into that. So if you're looking at the total estimated impact for the balance of this fiscal year, it would be $28,159. To separate that by fund, in your general fund, the total impact would be $29,355. For your water and sewer fund, it would be $31,645. And in your solid waste fund, there would be a reduction in salary expenses of $32,841 for the balance of the fiscal year. And that's how those two all come together to combine to show the total estimated impact of $28,159.
Okay. Very good. Do we have any questions for him?
Great job. I can actually understand this.
I just have one question. It's a little off topic, but again, it's on topic. I noticed with your code enforcement supervisor and coordinator, you have a special magistrate already hired?
Yes, we do.
Okay, good. Right, I guess that's it. Thanks.
Okay.
The reason that you do not have a budget amendment in front of you to entertain this evening, number one, is not to be presumptive that you would approve this at this point, but upon approval, then we would bring to you a budget amendment, and it would also require an ordinance be adopted, since it will actually increase your overall general fund budget and your budget for your water and sewer fund.
Okay.
So your original budget was adopted by ordinance, so any increase to those budgets would also have to be adopted by ordinance.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
That clarifies it.
It was a question I was thinking of.
So we'll need a motion to approve initiating a budget amendment.
We need a motion to initiate a budget adjustment, is that what
A
you're
budget
saying?
amendment, yes.
Budget amendment.
But I thought these was estimated, so they're not,
We need them to work it up by ordinance. So they'll have
So
to
you
bring
need
an
to-
ordinance back to us. We
Yeah.
need to approve them doing that.
You don't have to,
yeah,
but
we've
you.
never
but
done
it's a-
that before.
But because you're going to have two readings of the ordinance.
Yeah.
Right.
But you can if you wish, in order to direct them to go ahead and spend
that's
the effort to do that. It'd be
Do-
giving them direction.
Are
but it's
there
not
any
required.
objections to us moving forward? with this?
No,
No,
No. Go ahead.
please
you.
do.
Just a question, I don't object, but on the GIS analyst and the CRA duties, I thought we were getting out of the CRA as far as the council and the city and you and everything else. I thought we were gonna go and combine them at some point in time, have a director that was totally,
That is correct, but we still have to have a staff person that acts as liaison between the city and the CRA board.
okay.
Anything else on item number 9? Seeing none, we'll move on. Under council member discussion, item number 10, code compliance. Maria is not here. However, Mr. Spurlock was co-sponsor on this, I believe.
No, I've just talked with David. I didn't know she was going to even be involved in this, but that doesn't make any difference. I asked him where we were at with our code violations, and it was kind of shocking to find out we are a year behind, one whole year, and he has asked the magistrate to come 2 times, I guess a month, wasn't it, Dave, instead of
2
one?
times a month.
Yeah.
We haven't started that yet.
But that's not going to accomplish anything in him doing that, simply because we just put on more people in that department. And certainly you would think that you're going to get more violations. And I think that we need to get another magistrate, number one. And I think that Mr. Flowers and I talked, and he said it was his understanding that there was a problem in getting the first one that we got. But I don't want to look back on anything. I just want to look forward, and I want to go and see if we can get a magistrate to get this stuff done, and in doing that, maybe put some kind of an automatic fee. If he's coming in front of the magistrate, that he's going to have to pay up front if he loses his case, period. Just above and beyond. I mean, because that way, if we have something with some teeth into it, that we're getting in some revenue that'll support another magistrate, I think that will offset the cost to the taxpayers. And maybe once and for all, if we show the people we mean business and complying.
That's the big issue. In the I mean, after 11 years here, with a little interim pause, big issue is, the 162 doesn't provide a lot of leeway with regard to additional fees and so on, but there is I'll look at that and see what we can do in that regard. But we have not had a lot of success in finding, special magistrates. There's just, it's not something people are clamoring to take that job in the past. And you have the additional issue that, some people that do it try to do it for more than one city, and you can't. That's a violation of the Constitution. And a couple of times that's come up, and I've in other cities, which I won't mention. And we've had to clarify that. You can only serve one community as special magistrate.
Okay, so do I need to make a motion that we do put out our feelers to try to
advertise?
I mean, he doesn't have enough to do as it is, to see if he can find another.
Yeah, I mean, perfectly appropriate to have a motion to advertise for another special magistrate, or at least even for the interim, perhaps for a period of time.
That would be until we get caught up for an interim. I'll make that motion.
Yeah, is there any way to improve the efficiency of the magistrate? I mean, who sets how many cases they hear in a day, and how fast these things go along? And
They just gave me a report today of what was done last Wednesday, and he heard 20 cases last Wednesday.
wow,
He started at 1 o'clock, and they got out here right around 5.
wow.
That was what was there. What's the matter, Jerry?
No, that's fine. I was just going to make an additional comment that I forgot. Go ahead, finish.
But anyway, I'm not sure exactly when he's going to start doing it twice a month for us, but we have asked him to do that, and he's going to try to fit that into the schedule and start doing that. But that's our goal, is to try to get more of these cases brought forward, some of them that have been out there for a year. But you need to know also that in the new budget year, I want to ask for another code enforcement officer, or code compliance officer. I think that's the more gentle way to say it these days, is code compliance. But I do believe with the violations that I see daily in this city without even looking for them, I just think we need more help out there to get more of it done. Mm-hmm. I think who we've got in staff right now is going to be helping quite a bit. I believe that Bubba Warner will do a very good job coordinating the guys and getting them out there, and they've already made a big difference on that. They've already started issuing some more citations, but with that comes more magistrate duties unless the people actually comply. I mean, you don't go to the magistrate on all cases. You comply with the stuff, and you're done. But they're given 30 days to comply in most cases.
The second point I was going to make, and earlier, and I forgot to make it, was that in the past there's been a lot of forgiveness of liens, and if you do that, of course, everybody's going to come in and ask for forgiveness of liens, and that really just defies the whole purpose of having a code enforcement section. I mean, it has to, in order for it to pay for itself, you have to follow through on the penalties. There are circumstances certainly where forgiveness is appropriate, and I'm not being judgmental on it. I just simply say, if you're going to forgive 50% of your cases, you're going to have problems with enforcement.
Councilman Spurlock, you made a motion.
I did.
You made a motion to
Hire another magistrate.
advertise.
An interim until we get caught up.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second, then I want a discussion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I seen a hand up out there.
So,
address it during discussion?
Sure.
Yeah, now's the time.
Now's the time? Galen Thomas, 703 West Winifred Street, Avon Park, Florida. I appreciate Mr. Bure's analogy about the forgiveness, because that is one thing that I wanted to bring forward, but I don't think it, I agree that it shouldn't be across the board. But should we look at our whole code, what's the other word, not enforcement?
compliance.
Our code compliance situation, and I think we have started this to a certain extent, but and tell me if your observations match this as well. But I see of the code and code compliance problems, most of it is a lack of education, a lack of understanding. And I know I've talked to the code enforcement officers, and they've just, they've been really great. And they believe in educating the public as well. So I don't know if our code compliance is dictated by ordinance that we have to do step 1, step 2, step 3, and if step 1 can't be this is what you're doing wrong, and this is what you need to do to fix it, and I'll be back next week, and if you don't get it fixed, then I'm going to have to write you up, kind of thing. So are we already doing that?
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. I was under the impression that perhaps we were, although in a personal situation, that did not happen. I got a registered letter for something that was very avoidable with just communication. So I know we can improve in that area, and I don't know exactly but how to suggest that. But I was thinking in terms of forgiveness for perhaps things that aren't that serious, not the things that you've been working with them and they never fix it. But I didn't know if there's any way you can make a degree there and get rid of the problem so you don't have to hire another magistrate. That was just one. How do you feel about it? Y'all.
I'll make a couple comments. I've had other people also tell me that they were never given step number 1. They were just given a written complaint.
The registered
right
letter?
off the bat, yeah, which I think which should be avoidable, because some of those are so minor with people that have lived there so many years that just a quick comment probably would have fixed it right off the bat. So I have heard other issues with other citizens who said they got written up right off the bat. So that's something I think maybe because of a lack of education and training from the existing officers, as well as being a professional, will help correct that. So I agree with that. And I also think that most of our forgiveness, correct me if I'm wrong, were mainly where they changed hands of ownership. That was the main reason why they lasted years and years and years.
Yes.
And somebody wanted to buy it or did buy it, and that's when we did the forgiveness. The rest of them, I think, what you're talking about, are the minor ones. If they don't fix them in a quick manner, then if you give them a little fine, whatever the minimum fine is, they should pay it and get on with it, and they shouldn't have to worry about forgiveness. So, but I think we just need to work forward with education and training, and also be citizen friendly. I agree with that 100%.
Can I say?
Go ahead.
What I was gonna say is that I've been told by previous citizens that, just like Gayla said, they were written up right at the bat. And then when I asked code enforcement about this, they said there were steps that they had to take,
There you go.
and that was the first step. Now,
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Jerry.
No, that's right. That was what I was going to comment, is that
Oh.
we have the Florida has a code enforcement process under Chapter 162. The problem with it, or what some people perceive as a problem and other people perceive it as a citizen-friendly, is there has to be 2 steps. We cannot fine anybody on first step 1, but you have to do step 1. And step 1 is putting them on notice that there's a violation. You can do it as nice as you want to, but you have to do it, because you can't go to step 2 until you do. Not only do you have to give them notice, but you have to give them a reasonable time to comply in that first step. So if it's something that requires 2 or 3 weeks, you're giving them 2 or 3 weeks to start with. And then if they don't do it in 2 or 3 weeks, then they come back and they go before the code enforcement board.
That's right.
Well, you think that's the end? That's not the end of it, okay? The code enforcement board or special magistrate then enters an order saying, you must comply within this reasonable time period, another 3 weeks. And if you don't within that period, that reasonable period of time, you're now, you'll start getting daily penalties as of that point. Now the penalties start, but I have to get another reasonable period of time. I mean, I've been dealing with this for 25 years, and it is a great thing of frustration. The other option is to do the kinder and gentler type of circumstance, which, by the way, you don't have to use the code compliance PC statement, because the statute actually says code enforcement. That's what the statute says. But, compliance is a nicer way to put it, because you're trying to work with the community in doing
Exactly.
that. But you can use a second type, the second format, which is called the citation method. The citation method is, that's it. You get a citation because you did it wrong. And that's really unkind. They have the option, of course, to not give a citation and say, okay, I'm going to give you a citation if I come back out here and see it, just like a police officer might do if they pull you over. But that process is much swifter. Usually reserve that for the really, aggressive types of circumstances where, septic tank's backing up or something like that, and everybody knows it's run down the street, those types of things. But that is a process, and both of those can be done at the same time. And you can actually, if you have a really bad situation, you can file for an injunction. Of course, that requires attorney's fees, and that's expensive, and I'm not suggesting you do that. I'm just saying there's a little variety of options. The one that you've chosen as the primary method, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, is basically a 2-step process. But even the second step has to have another additional period of time. So if you add another level of time on there by saying, well, look, you've got this problem, you need to fix it, that's going to be 3 weeks. Then there's going to be another 3 weeks. Then there's going to be another 3 weeks. And now you have 9 weeks of compliance, time period. I'm just throwing that out there for you to consider, having dealt with this for a long time.
A lot of the things don't take 3 weeks to fix. I mean,
No.
it can take, 5 minutes. It's a matter of them not knowing that they're supposed to put their garbage can up, or
Mow the
that
grass.
they have mold on the front of their house when, they didn't realize that was a problem, because it's just that simple.
Well, I
And
know, but if you don't give them, more than a few days to do it, they're
Few
still going
days
to
is
be
plenty.
very upset.
Yeah,
But even, cutting the grass. Should be able to do
exactly,
that
cutting the
next day.
grass,
But
exactly.
I'm not going to be here, I've been ill and all these things. And so once you start getting to that sort of situation, you're better off to give a reasonable period of time
Right.
that is more than is necessary. And that's why I use the 3-week figure. A lot of people use a month, which I think is crazy, but at any rate. I just on this motion, if I might comment on that as well, no problem with it. I think it's a good idea to get more code enforcement, but you might want to find out from the special magistrate you have whether they can actually spend more time. Can they do 3 days a week, or one every week, or something like that? I don't know. I just throw that out there because it'll be cheaper, easier to have one person who's already
Right.
experienced with it, already has the orders and so on already in their system, to do it rather than starting somebody else up on that. But it's a good idea if you can't get that.
That's fine. I can, as far as the motion goes, but I'm just talking about getting it caught up.
Absolutely.
I mean, when you're a year behind, something's not right.
Well, and that's, I think that's why I say, just for a period of time, have them come in a lot more often, to get these things taken care of. I don't know that the person's available. They may have other things to do. But those are my comments right now.
Well, I want to say that I think the city of Avon Park has a good spirit about code compliance. You know, I think we want to, and we want to be good overseers, and we want to help our citizens. I definitely congratulate the city on that. I think we can be more effective in what we're trying to do. To get a citation, not a citation, a registered letter cost the city, a lot over nothing. It took 2 tries because they sent it to one address and that there's nobody living there. And they finally figured out that I was the owner of the house, and then they sent it to me. And that was just, an expense that wasn't necessary. And so my other suggestion is, I've read about this in Hillsborough County. I know I've mentioned this in the past, but they use other utility people to spot problem areas, and they have a reporting system. So, like, my garbage man knows me. He knows the house next door belongs to me. He knows everybody in our area because every week he's on that street. So if he sees a problem, and while he's sitting there and the guys are dumping the truck in, he can make a phone call, he can make a little note. If he had a text, he can text the particular person and say, this needs a little attention. And then that way the person doesn't have to go riding up and down the street looking for problems. You already have your spotters out there that know the neighborhood, so they could be more effective. Any idea, any comments on that?
I'll make a comment. I think that years ago, the people that did go out there and do the code enforcement were people that lived there for a long time, and they knew the neighborhood, they knew the people, and they could talk to them up front. Once we went to a public safety department, it seemed like things changed a lot. I'm not too sure all the reports I kept asking for were accurate or whether they were just repeated over and over again. I think there was a little lack in service on that side, but I think that now the difficulty is the fact that we have the people we have now that work in the department are not trained. I don't think any of them have been to the 3 qualifying schools that need to be qualified.
Okay.
And hopefully with the new coordinator, he can get them up to date. But I see both points. I see, being citizen friendly, and I also see what both parts here that says, you know what, if you break the code, if you don't do something about it, and you're not in compliance, then we need to get that fine down and get it to the magistrate, and we need to do it quickly. So I see both points.
Councilwoman Gray, do you have something?
No, I don't have anything to say.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. I have no doubt that the new administration will do a much better job of code enforcement. I think that we have some very good people on staff. Bubba Warner is one of the best. I think that he will get our staff up tip-top shape. And I think you'll all see a very positive change. As far as the magistrate goes, absolutely, I would pressure the magistrate we have now and see if they're able to do more. If they can't, by all means, do what we have to do to get everything caught up. I think it has been a little lackluster in past years, and we're turned over a new leaf now, and things are going forward. So,
Yeah, I think that's would be our next step, to see how many days this guy could commit to us, the magistrate, because it'd be nice if we had the same person doing the same cases with in the same community. If we could get him 3 days a week until, or on average, until we got caught up, and then maybe go to 2 or 1.
3 days a week.
I mean,
Well, 3 days a month.
3 days a month, I'm sorry. 3 days a week would be good too, but we get caught up fast.
Be caught up in no time at all.
That's it.
okay.
And my thought on that is that I think if we automatically jump out there and just say, hey, look, we're looking for another magistrate right now, the current one may take offense to that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I think
you're right.
we should just offer him, and then if he says
Yes.
no, he can't, then let him know that he might
Sure.
know somebody that he can
Yeah,
recommend.
I agree.
You know.
I agree with that.
Could we get by with doing that with the motion that we have on the table?
But the motion on the floor is still appropriate, I think. That allows him
I
the
don't have a
option.
problem in withdrawing that motion. I mean, we
Well,
have it in a second.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it, really. The only thing I was
No.
saying is
But-
try first with the existing, and then if that doesn't work, then go to the advertisement, because this will approve the advertisement if they're not available.
Whatever,
Right.
that's fine.
I agree.
I just know it's not working the way it is.
Yeah, you're right.
Good point.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further questions? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Gray,
No.
Councilmember Spurlock,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-1.
Thank you. Item number 11 is going to be removed. That was something that was brought up by Councilwoman Sutherland. She's not here, so we will remove that for now. Are there any objections? Seeing none,
Nope.
we'll move on to item number 12, removal of portables from MLK Center. David, I believe that's you.
I have nothing to report yet on that. I thought a council member wanted to discuss that.
Oh,
I think it was just put on there as old business in the past, and that's why it keeps popping up.
Okay.
And there's no reason why the Boys and Girls Club hasn't done that. They've got a pretty sweet deal, I mean, with
Yeah.
contract-wise. So I would say somebody just needs to put a burr in their
Well,
saddle.
actually,
Did that
the
right
young
this
lady
year.
that did the adult football had said that she had someone that might want to take those.
right.
And I sent her an email is she here? Oh. I sent her an email last week.
I believe we have someone wishing to speak on that.
Boys and Girls Club.
Okay. Name and address, please.
Good evening, everybody. Willis McGuire, 785 Hickory Street, Sebring. I am, if you guys remember, I'm the new president of Avon Park City Youth Football and Cheer.
Youth football.
Youth football.
Right.
And just so happened, these things kind of coincide with what we're trying to do over at the field. I missed the last council meeting, and I shared with Attorney Burr, I had to go to one of our league meetings, voting in our new formal executive board. And being the president, my presence was required. But I learned from my vice president as well as my treasurer that there was something that was brought up on the agenda with our contract, and it was taken out of the contract subsequently. The last time I spoke, well, the first time I spoke was the November, the 2nd November. That's when I introduced myself to the council.
Yes.
And then thereafter, that's when Mr. Toro, he acknowledged that he was stepping down and I was the new president. And from that point, I learned that there was only one instance or one thing in the contract that was at question. That was the 5 doors that was supposed to be, needed to be replaced or whatever have you. And I learned that that was pulled out of one of them, one of the meetings when I had to be at another league meeting. It seems kind of ironic that on those days that we have league meetings, there was at least that the second Monday.
Sir, does this have anything to do with the portables?
The field itself. This is the field itself.
Okay.
And
You talking about the field where the portables are?
the Boys and Girls Club, the contract of the use of the facility.
I think what he's talking about is the fact that you took out the paint for the lines, that you would not provide the paint. That's the only thing that was taken out.
What I'm trying to get at now is when you mentioned that the Boys and Girls Club had a pretty sweet contract and everything should be okay. My concern is this: our contract is yet to be. When I spoke to Attorney Burr, he indicated to me, and this was after the last one that I missed, he indicated to me that someone should be reaching out to me to finalize a contract and sign it. I have yet to hear anything in regards to that. So we don't have a sweet contract as of yet either, based on what was advertised in the newspaper and what I saw. To this point, there's been pretty much lack of communication, and we just want to go forward and continue to do what we've been trying to do.
Well, I think the contracts were approved at the last meeting, were they not?
Yes.
They were.
So, I mean, it's just a matter of getting them signed. If you can come into the City Hall, you can probably, and sign your agreement, then the mayor will sign it after you sign it. That's the only thing that's being held up. at this
Okay, well,
point.
then I would have to, I don't think that's the only thing, because, again, I reached out to you the day after the last meeting, because when I had questions about what went on, and as I don't know her name again, Miss Thomas, she explained about some communication. Evidently, there was lack of communication. That's why I'm here, because no one reached out to me to share with me what I needed to do. I did not know what to do.
Well, I thought there was somebody here from your group that spoke at this meeting, because we all discussed the fact that all they need to do is come in and sign it. So I didn't know we needed to call you directly.
No, nothing was shared with me, and that's why I'm here, because I didn't know what was going on.
Okay.
Well, now you know.
Okay, so now, what do I do now? Again, can you,
Come into City Hall.
do we need to
They
make
have
an
the contract,
appointment,
right?
or-
And they're just going to strike it out and just initial the piece that struck out, or I can send it to you if you want to remind me. I can make the change, or you can do it in-house. I mean, it's not.
Just come
not a
by
big-
City Hall sometime this week and ask for either me, David Flowers, or the city clerk, Manuel Cortizal, and we'll have a copy of it for you. All you have to do is sign the contract itself, and then we'll get it to the mayor. He'll sign it, and then we'll get you copies of the signed copies.
But bring your insurance certificate showing the city of Avon
Yes.
Park as a named payee and so on,
Yes.
as the contract requires.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So
Okay, back to
anyway,
the-
I had sent an email to Adrian, and she hasn't responded back.
Got it.
I sent that last week asking her where we were on the people, and she did answer back. She said that she would see if that option was still available, and I haven't heard back since that one.
Okay.
So that's for removal of the portable, of this,
Yes, the
Of the two
portables that
portables,
the
yeah.
Boys and Girls
Two
Clubs
portables.
had.
okay.
And if that doesn't work, then we'll get a backhoe over there and we'll tear them down and haul them off ourselves.
And at this point, we have clear title to get rid
We
of them?
do. I've got a letter from John McClure from the school board saying we can do with it what we want.
Got it.
Okay.
So now we're just seeing if there's a nonprofit that's willing to take care of that for us, and if
Yep.
there's not, then we'll go ahead and remove them.
Correct.
Okay. Is there any other questions on the portables at the MLK Center?
No, sir.
Seeing none, that concludes our regularly scheduled agenda. Is there anything else to bring before the city?
You want the city manager report?
Go ahead.
Okay.
That would be great.
Please do.
This is basically just some informational things. You saw the email and the public notice about the new core meet and greet, which is Friday morning at South Florida State College,
At what time?
10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Chamber luncheon is Thursday, the 28th, 11:45 at the Jacaranda. If you think you can make it, give George a call at the Chamber of Commerce, let him know that you're coming. We will be posting our agenda on the city website and the meeting minutes from this point forward. We have found a way to make sure that that is ADA compliant for that. The city is working on meeting special conditions required by the newly awarded agreement. Those conditions were emailed to Jerry this afternoon for him to look at. That was for the CDBG grant that we've been awarded, but there are some special conditions. Avon Park Rotary Blueberry and Bluegrass Festival is coming to Donaldson Park on April 27th. I will be addressing road closures and the CRA event grant request at the next meeting. Last week, Manuel and I met with 3 CRA heads to discuss the autonomous board. All were in agreement. We have contacted Jim LaRue for his review and opinion on what we're trying to do. And the city recently received permission from FDEP to add in 2 more water mains outside the city, on Lowen Road and Beaufort Road. So we're rocking and rolling.
I had a question for you. On the combining of the CRAs, you said you met with the 3 chairs?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, the chairs that's been there now, especially for the south side, are you all going to, or did you all decide that if you wanted to go and see somebody, see if anybody else wanted to be a chair, or how does that work? What did you all decide on that?
We haven't decided yet.
I haven't been given any direction on that. I'm working with what I got.
Oh, the current, okay.
Anything else?
David, on the showing, are we gonna go back on Comcast Live TV then the next meeting?
I think we are now.
Yes, we are live now. The box was accidentally turned off.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Is there anything
Don't know
else?
How that happened.
Anything else for the good of the city? Seeing nothing, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Seeing no opposition, we are adjourned.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.